One of the fascinating things about the piping plover is just how far it migrates, coming from as far away as Canada all the way to the islands of the Bahamas each and every year.
We were invited down to help with Audubon and Bahamas National Trust's Shorebird initiative, in particular in the banding program for the piping plovers here. The first and most difficult thing, of course, is to find them. And what we've been trying to do is really find high tide roosts. And these are places where they get together and they sleep when the tide is high because there's no food for them available on low mud flats. When we find them, we do a lot of scouting and watching and trying to see what they do. We watch their behavior and we try to find out where they are going to be.
About 90, 95 birds here. And I'm going to let you look at a potential trap.
At the roosts, we use something called a whoosh net, which is basically just a bungee-powered net that pops up out of the sand and shoots over them.
We're just going to sit here and wait until Dan has the birds in the net zone. So it's just a waiting game. Dan watches the birds carefully, makes sure that when they are in the right zone to be captured, he gives a signal, and then I pull the cord, which releases the net.
It takes multiple organizations, multiple agencies, great deal of collaboration, and just this trip alone, we had people from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, we had people from Massachusetts, people from New Jersey, people from North Carolina, we had Bahamas National Trust.
We work very closely with Bahamas National Trust, and we're delighted to have their support for this project. They provide staff support and help us in every way they can. For the banding project, we're working closely with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Environment Canada, and especially the Virginia Tech Shorebird program.
The whole Virginia Tech Shorebird crew are great. I really enjoy working with them. We spend a lot of time together when we're trapping and banding, and we've gotten to know each other, and it's just a really great group of people.
We've been marking these birds with an alphanumeric coded flag, so there's one code for every single bird, and they're individually marked, and they're pink flags that marks a bird that was banded in the Caribbean. We also put a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, USGS metal band on the opposite side. Those identify that bird forever. We take measurements of their wing, their culmen, so their beak, and their tarsus, which is their little leg. And we take mast measurements so that we can understand what condition the birds are in.
That was an excellent catch. You know, one more piping plover banded, so that's fantastic.
Never get tired of it.
The piping plovers that winter in the Bahamas breed along the Atlantic coast of the U.S. and in eastern Canada.
It gives us an opportunity to better understand how the birds in the Bahamas are connected to migration stopovers in the U.S. and then breeding grounds from the U.S. to Canada.
Primarily, most of these bands are used for demography, which is survival and movement. So we want to know how well the birds down here are surviving, and we compare that to other studies that we've done across the U.S., from the Great Plains to the Atlantic coast, from New York to North Carolina, and all the way down into South Carolina and Georgia, where we've done the similar work.
When we band birds here in the Bahamas, we have a high probability of them being seen on the breeding grounds because so many people are monitoring this species from North Carolina all the way to Canada.